Hello from wherever you are, and welcome to Let's Play Games. I'm John McFarland, Adult Services Librarian for National Public Libraries, and I hope you'll join me in learning or rediscovering some of the more common and uncommon games out there. This time we are going to go into a card game that has a little bit added complexity in that sometimes it's a little harder to keep score, especially when games can be active and fast-paced. Well, for this game, we have a board and we have pegs to keep track because there's lots of scoring in this one. So if you like scoring points and you like quick turnarounds, this is the game for you. This is Cribbage. Let's get stuck in. So Cribbage is one of my favorite games to continuously try and learn. There are some important elements here, and I'm always going to recommend keeping a chart handy to just help speed up the pace of play as you're learning this. This is one of those games that becomes better the more you practice at it and the more you learn some of the nuances of the game. Now, what I want to go through is, as I always do before card games, if somebody's a little more unfamiliar with the deck of cards, is to kind of go through what I'm talking about and the type of card games that we're playing here. So all card games have 4 suits in a French style deck. In this series, I promise you I talk about Italian and German themed card decks. And they have, in relativistically speaking order, 1 through 10, and usually the 1 is referred to as an ace. So we have these what are called pip cards. And then our court cards, Jack, Queen, and King. And we've got hearts, we've got diamonds, we've got clubs, and we have spades. So most games have some version of, is it an ace low, is it an ace high, or is it an ace, well, both. So this game that we're going to be playing today is going to be what's called an ace low game. So ace will always be the number 1, and it does not wrap around. So there are some games where it does. This one, not one of those games. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna collect all these up. And as I always like doing, talking about the concept of shuffling. A game is, well, quite dull if you can't experience a game with variance. So what you're gonna do is you can just move around the cards a little bit, like here. So you can just take a little bit in your hand and take maybe the front and back, and then that splits it up. But the other common way is to split the deck in half, and you're gonna hold it down. So I've got a nice little diagonal, and I'm using my thumb, you can actually see my thumb move here, and just let go of some of the cards until it all meshes together. So notice now, it doesn't exactly look like a completely full deck, but it isn't completely random either. But that allows for you to change some things. So, as always, I like recommending you give this a little bit of practice. It takes just a little bit of shuffling just to make sure that it is properly done. Now, on to the game itself. I am going to be dealing each player a small subset of cards. There are a lot of variants to this game, and by that I don't mean variants as in different ways to play, although there are a couple. I mean, it's a pretty high chance kind of game because each hand will be reshuffled and redealt. So it's not like you have to try and remember what cards were dealt originally. But in this game, you're scoring points along this board. You can see that I've got 3 little pegs here and about 120 holes in each one. And each one of them can fit in respectively. The purpose of this game is to score points that gets you on down this road all the way around until you can get to this last little peg of finish. All you need is that first one. That completes the game. So how do you get there? Well, what we're going to be doing is scoring points off of things like runs, a 7, an 8, and a 9 in a row. Remember, like I said, this is an ace low game, so an ace, 2, 3 would be 1, 2, 3. That would count as a run of 3. You can have also ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's worth the number of points that you have the run in order. Not bad, right? Well, there are other ways to score as well. Pairs. Pairs are worth 2 in terms of moving. We also have getting to 15. Scoring in 15, this is going to be one of the main elements of the game, where you're getting to either 15 or 31. More on that in a second. Because you also have a way to get 4 of a kind throughout the course of the game. This is obviously very improbable, but if you do, it's worth a lot of points. Having a 4 of a kind, or a double pair royal, as it was originally called, is worth 12 pegs on the board. And this board only goes up to 120. So this is a fairly fast-paced game as far as pacing goes. So notice that that is obviously a little more prepared. So let's shuffle this deck up. So one of the important aspects is one thing, seeing who goes first. And one of my favorite ways of determining who goes first is the way that they do it in this game. I'm going to be playing with 3 players. Notice there's 3 lines. There's black, white, and red. So what I'm going to do is each player, so I'm going to have this one will be black, this one will be white, and this one will be red right here. This allows us and you to keep a little bit better track of what's going on. So each player, and we'll start with black, is going to cut the deck at some random point. Cool, they've decided. Now the white player says I'm going to cut here, and the red player says I'm going to cut here. So there's a little bit left over. This will also help us with our shuffling. Now, the lowest card going from king to ace will be the one that goes first. So black has 8. Whoop. Last card doesn't want to move. This white card has 7. And this red one is 3. So if it had been jack and king, respectively, this 8 card would have gone first. So we now know that our red is going to be the dealer. So simple deal is going to be, let me shuffle this up a little bit more real quick. Just one more time for good measure. We are now going to deal each player 5 cards. And I'm going to deal 1 card in the middle at any random point that I determine. It just can't be the first or last card. So 1, 2, and we'll just do right there, 3, 4, 5. Now each player is going to look at their hand in order to determine what they want to put into the middle. That is going to be the crib. And our red player over here, that is the dealer, is going to get the benefits of this crib once the game has ended. There's one more element that I want to throw into this, which is the top card. But I'm going to have this be the Knight of Clubs. I'll tell you why that's important in a second. So I'm not going to show you what is here. So I'm going to look at mine first, and then I'll tell you later why I'm doing what I'm doing. Let's see here. It's not bad. We're going to do that. And I'm going to definitely do that one. So this crib is going to be in the center, and it will be points to the red player once the hand is over. So this is one of your ways of getting points in this game, where you're almost certainly going to get points in almost every hand. There is a chance you might not get any points in a round. This is called being skunked, and there are numerous joking and semi-joking punishments for getting skunked in a round, which you don't want to do, of course. So let's look now at what each player has in their hand. So remember I said we're going for totals of 15. We're going for runs. We're going for pairs. And we're going for any high number combinations we can get. So I have an ace, a 2, a 3, and a 5. So I know in my hand, for sure, at the end of a round, I will have points because I at least have a run of 3. If I can play off of a 4 at some point, I might be able to get something going, but that's pretty unlikely. So I at least know there's 3 points in this hand. Not great, not terrible. And it doesn't add up to 15 either, by the way, because 5, 3 is 8, 2, 12, ace, 13. Then we have 10, jack, queen, so we've got ourselves a nice run. Now here's the fun part that we know. This 9 will count towards your total point total at the end. Everyone gets to play off this card after everything's been played. So there's these 3 different stages of getting points. The total hand at the end of a round, the dealer with the crib, and you while playing through. I don't have any 15 totals, but I now have a run of 5. So that's 5 that I know I have in hand. Then we have here a nice, lovely little combination. I've got a pair, and I've got a triplet of 9s. Not bad. Let me double check my counter, because I always like double checking. Yes, so a 3 of a kind is worth 6 on its own. So this is not bad because we've got a 6 and a pair is worth 2. And this is not me making it up as I go along, I swear. This is the actual point total. This is why I recommend looking up online or writing down as I talk about it what the point totals are and being able to kind of put it in a nice little order here. So we've got a pretty good combination. Now, how does play start? Well, play starts with a person placing one of their cards down here. So this is going to be just right in front of them. That's an ace. So here they're saying 1. The goal is to get either to 31 exactly or as close to 31 as possible, and to make sure that no one else can. But you get points or pegs as you go along. So this person's played an ace. This person can then also play an ace, and it is a pair for them. So they get to say pair 2. This is our black player. They're going to take their peg and move 1, 2. This person now gets to go. They're going to do 8 for a total of 10. So as you're playing down cards, it's 1, 2, 10. Now is where you have to start doing the math. They're going to play this ace here. So they get to get credit for the pair. So that's going to move them 2. And that's 1, 2, 10, 11. This person gets to play. They're going to go ahead and play. Let's see, they're at 11. They would love a 4 here so they can make 15. They can't. So if you make 15, that's worth 1 on its own as well. Or sorry, 2. So that's going to be 1, 2, 10, 11, 12, 13. The odds that somebody else is going to have a 2 is relativistically low because, as you can tell, most of the hand is not here. So that's 1, 2, 10, 11, 13. This person is going to play here. That's 23. So now here's where we run into trouble. Remember, 31 is the number to meet, so you can't play anything higher than a 9. This person can't play anything higher than an 8. So they have 9s in their hand, which means that they have to say, go. I don't have anything to play, my apologies. So now, here's where we're at with our total of 23. So now someone gets to play either 3 for 26, or 5 for 28. They're going to play this 5. Actually, they'll play the 3 here because they get to do this credit for the run. So black will get 1, 2, 3. See, I'm always trying to work on how I play this game. So now it's, let's see, that's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 26. Now no one can play anything higher than a 5. Oh, hey, look. So they say go, they say go. This person can then lay down, and the black player will get credit for landing exactly on 31. And they get 2 for that. So you get a chance to play in numerous different contexts, but notice that this person is now out of cards. Just put their stuff off to the side, and we'll put this off to the side for later. Play will still continue. It's as though this person is saying go automatically. So don't worry about if you run out of cards. If you've played it right, notice that this person got 7 points off of what is a relatively low value hand. And they get credit again once we count everything later. That is pretty rare, by the way. So we've got ourselves 10, then 19, then 29. Red says go. This person gets 1 point for being closest to 31. That all gets taken out. And then red over here gets credit for last card. So that's just going to be 1. Now we get into the next segment of playing. So give me 1 second, take a step back, just as we're going through this, and then we'll kind of go into scoring. So 1 second. So a little bit about the scoring here moving forward. Basically everything that we got to play was a pretty good starting hand for everybody involved, all things considered. I know for white, they're not getting to play it during, but now you've got a little bit going for you. So remember I talked about ace, 2, 3. It's not part of a run, so black gets 1, 2, 3. White here has the run of 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then red gets credit for the pair. That's 2, so that brings them to 4. And then the triplet, which brings them, sorry, I've been giving everybody 1 point extra, so we're just gonna go ahead and do that. And then I'll forget the phraseology here, I'm gonna knock everyone back a peg. So now we've got this person at 10, this person at 9, this person at 4. Now, for red, they get to enjoy the benefits of the crib and anything that can bring them into point total. So let's see what we've got going here. We've got king, we've got jack, we've got a 2, we've got a 6. Let's see here. So they're gonna get some points here just off of this 6 alone. So it's gonna be 15. So this 9, 6, they get to credit for any combination they can make. So that's 2 for 15, 2 for 15, and 2 for 15, bringing them all the way up to 15 off of this 6 getting to count for the 9 individually. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, close. But let's see, trying to see if I can find any other combination here that will work. No runs. Not a flush. So you do also get credit for if all of your cards match a suit. This doesn't happen here. So that's not too bad. And notice that the person who had the crib got a decent point boost, but all in all, not a terrible hand either, because they're not that far, and play will now move to the left. So you're gonna take all of these cards up, you're going to shuffle up, you're going to deal. So this would be one of those things where you keep track of the game as it is, and give me a second to shuffle and re-deal, and then I can show you a little bit about how this game proceeds a little bit further. I'll show you basically what happens in the next hand, see if we can come up with some good examples. So 1 second. let me go ahead and deal, and then I'll show you also the reasons why I made the decisions that I made for discarding. 1 second. So this game has a long history dating back all the way to the 17th century. It originated as a game called Nobby, N-O-B-B-Y, and was more referring to the Jack card, which long was referred to as the Fool. Here were some of the special rules of Nobby, or more the fact that Cribbage is the special rules of Nobby. There was no board, there was no crib. There were only 3 cards as a part of the deal, and it only went to 21 before you had to go. So just this game became a much more popular version of what was an original game. Another in a long line of examples we've talked about on this series of games that got more increasingly complex as they went along. So now I've redealt. This time I'm showing you these things face up. Let's take a look and see what our other crib card is just for fun, too. Okay, cool. Now remember, the black player is going to be getting credit for the crib in whatever it is. They do not know what this card is. That card is intentionally secret. But for you at home, you'll be able to see at least the unintended benefit of what's coming. The king is also our top card. Also, as one element here, I do want to point out that the jack is going to be worth a point on its own in the end because it matches this top card suit. So when I was talking about the history of this game, remember how jacks were considered important even though they were the fool? This is where the history of the game continues to exist, even though a lot of people have forgotten the history behind it. So let's see what each player's done with here. Now, I know they're keeping that jack now. I would be if I was in their position. Also because I can make 15 off of this 5. It's actually not too bad a hand, all things considered. So let's see here. We've got a 6, 7, 8 run. Now, since you're the dealer here, you've actually got a fun question. You could actually discard these and get credit for the run at the end because you're getting the crib no matter what. So you at least know one card that you're going to be able to benefit from later. However, I don't know if I want to get rid of this 8 and 7 because that's 15. And if I can find a way to make 15, it's not a bad card to drop. I would say the weakest card of this is actually the ace, since it just represents 1. I don't have a pair of anything, so I'll say we'll do that. So we know that that's going to be something in their hand later. If you're this player, the jack and the 5, we're definitely keeping. The 9, I'd say, is a pretty good idea to keep, because that can still bring you 10. I would say the 4 is probably one of the better cards to drop here, because I know later on, if I'm trying to make 15, I want to make a combination of 10. That 9 and that ace in the hand is going to be 10. So that's more points right there. So figuring out how you can keep track of whatever points, and you're also thinking of 4 doesn't make any great combination of 10 unless there are other cards here. I now know on my end that I also have ways to have high point totals to try and get close to 31, or some low cards that I can use to try and stay within 31 and be that last card. Because remember, you get 1 peg for being the closest to 31. Now over here, we've got ace, 2, 3. We're gonna keep those for sure. 9 and the queen. Do I wanna give away the queen and potentially, if there's a jack in this crib or a jack in this person's hand, they're gonna make a run out of it. 9, what could somebody make out of a 9? And I'm just trying to think of not knowing these cards, because we know already here is 6, 7, 9 is 16, but I at least know that I could make a 15 out of it if somebody has a 6 in their hand, which we know that they do. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the 9 though, because that's kind of considered a more safe card. So we now know the 2, the 4, the 9, ace. That is going to be over here for the benefit of the black player later. So now black gets to go. They're going to start off with 3. This person doesn't have any way of playing off of it, so they're going to say 13. This person doesn't necessarily want to play this queen here, because if this person either has a king or a 10, they get to create the run. Because here's the thing about runs. They can technically speaking be out of order as they're played. Doesn't happen super often. But I'm going to go and take that risk and make it 23. Or actually, no, I'm completely forgetting myself here. I can make 15 right here. So that's going to be 2 right there. So now 15 is the new total. Now let's see here. 8 gets me to 23, which I know I can theoretically play. Play the high card, see if I can get pretty close. This person is going to do... Since they have an ace, they know they're safe up all the way to 30. So 15, 23, 28, but this person has a 3. So that way they get right on the nose to 31. At that point, all the cards are taken out for the moment, and play begins anew. We've got 7. This person wants to play safe and get 16. This person has 26. They can't play because that would be 32. That would be 27. This would be 28. So they're going to get credit for the pair, so that's 2. And then also getting closest to 31, that's 1. So yeah, red's doing pretty okay here at the start. And then black will at least get credit for last card. So now let's bring everybody's stuff back up. And then we can allocate some more points, because we always want to give people more points when we can. So let's start with white here. They can make 15. That's worth 2. And that's another 2 for the combination here for making 15. So that's their hand. This person has a 1, 2, 3, run of 3, nothing else. Then we have black, who also has a run of 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now we get to make allocations, also 15, so that's 2. Let's see, any other combinations we can make out of this? That's 14, that's 16. No, can't do anything else. Now we get to basically make all this real quick in one pile. So first off, we've got 2 runs of 4, not bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And yes, our white player so far has not had the best time of things, but notice, so far there's been a lot of points just for being the dealer. This is why it's a luck-based game. So now let's figure out the different combinations of 15 we've got going on here. So we've got 9 and 6. That's 2 right there. We've got 9 and 6. That's another 2. 9 and 6. That's another 2 right there. 6, 4, 3, 2. So notice how you can get a lot of points just based off of this alone and just getting combinations of 15. You can get runs. Imagine if this card was a 5. You'd be doing fine. So for want of doing a lot of math here, I'm gonna give them like 2 more sets. A lot of combinations are here, but for your simplicity and my simplicity, I'm just going to have them a lot of points. So in two hands, notice they're still a little over a quarter of the way there, close to a third. This is where multiple hands take place in a fairly high-paced game. And there are ways to just keep adding up points, getting runs, getting pairs, getting triplets. Notice how through just two game examples, somebody's gotten a large swath of points, somebody's gotten lucky more off playing than off the crib, somebody has gotten very unlucky, but just note, they have ways to play as well. But one step back real quick, I want to show you just how you can play this even with just one other player. There's a two-player version. 1 second. So the popularity of this game stems from two specific places. One, the novel The Old Curiosity Shop by Charles Dickens, in which cribbage, in its more modern form, played a central role in the character development of our lead character, or more appropriately, led to some of their, shall we say, pitfalls. But this cribbage was a gambling element, and because of this, gained a lot of popularity. The other important segment is out in the American West. There is a town in Montana that actually refers to itself as the cribbage capital of the world, just because of how many people in the Old West had this simplistic game, very fast-paced, able to change hands very quickly, and being able to come to a conclusion rather fast. So this game continued in its popularity, but a lot of its more well-known elements came from the United States, especially into the latter 19th and early 20th century. So there's one more element to it, but I'll get to that in a moment. So for cribbage, you can actually play it with just two players. Pretty easy, actually. Nothing gets dealt into the center, but you can do 6 cards each. 4, 5, and 6. And then each player will decide which 2 cards go into the crib. So I'm going to have the black player be first. And here's where you get some interesting decision making. Notice how you've got a pair right there from the get-go. Not bad. You almost have a run. Oh, this person is going to be very happy. Why? Because they have a run of 4 by default. So that's 4 points. But you got to give something else that you like. So you're probably making the easy decision to give up these 2. The problem is that now that's 10 points. Could get very interesting. For this person, let's see here. What are they closest to? 10. Actually, the more I think about it, the more complicated it gets. Much like most card games that we play here. So I'm just going to, for simplicity's sake, since they know that they are getting the crib back, they're going to give this pair. Look at this pair up for now. Because they know they're not going to be able to play too hard. So they've got this ace, the 5, the 9. And then play will continue on just like it did before, where you're getting the pegs for 15 or 31. So you've got the, let's say they decide to play the 8. This person is going to play the 7 for 15. That's 2. So now we've got 25 because they at least have a way to get 31. But this person also does. So some of this is admittedly playing off of the other because you know what you have. But notice how quick this game goes. Then they're going to play 1. This person plays 9. That'll be 15. So 2 for 15. They're out of card, and this person will get credit for playing last card. Notice the point totals are kind of fewer. But then we add up, and I forgot to reveal the top card. That is my apologies. Notice how black player is going to get benefit from the fact that it's a queen. So on this side, we've got a run of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they can make 15 twice. 1, 2, 1, 2. That gets them up to 13. So then our dealer is going to have some nice combinations here. So what do we got going here? No runs, but a pair. That's worth 2. They can make 9, 10. So let me do it like this. So that's 10. That's 15. 2. That's 15. Another 2. So can't use that, but you can make this. So that's 2. Another 15. That's 2. Take this out of play for a second. Let me see. This ace, 8, 6 ace. That's another 2. Then this makes 15 again. That makes 2. Let's kind of reset here. I think I gave credit for the pairs already. I didn't give credit for the pair of aces. My apologies. Notice how this becomes you keeping track of a lot of things going on at once. Let's see, no runs. Let's see, no flushes. That was almost a flush if that had been a 7 of spades, which would have been another 4 on its own for the number of cards. So luck, bad luck, it ends up playing a huge element to this game. So notice, even with getting quite a few points, not that entirely separate. So right now it is 18 to 13. Pretty even score. So this game, with its elements of luck, with its elements of its own challenges, can be a fun, exciting, fast-paced game to play with a whole lot of replay value, because one time you can have 0, the other time you can have over 20 points. It's just a matter of how lucky you're feeling that day. So there's one last bit of fun cribbage lore that I do want to bring up. I have to go to the era of World War II, specifically 1943, where cribbage entered modern American naval tradition. As cribbage was a fun way to pass the time, in the submarine systems, you had to stay pretty quiet. So this is an excellent way to keep score without having to shout particular scores. But I want to bring you to the submarine USS Wahoo, which is named after the fish, not to be confused with a barracuda. Before going on a patrol, they agreed to play a game while heading out to sea. And one of the best ways to get points in this game is by having a lot of scores that add up to pairs or quadruplets and having a jack. Well, it is possible in the deal to get a jack and 4 5s, which would be worth quite a few points considering how many times that adds up to 15, how many times that adds up to a double, a triple, and a quadruple. So this has a statistical likelihood of 219,000 or so to 1. So it was seen as an element of good luck. So the patrol went without a hitch, and what happened was over time, that exact cribbage board ended up on what would be the oldest still commissioned submarine still in activity. And as of this filming, it's either on the USS Chicago or USS Key West. One of them is preparing to be decommissioned at the time of this filming. So just a fun little piece of lore about how one small element can still carry on after years and years and still have its element and perception of luck, like in many other card games. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to join us next time as we will go back into the realm of board games. And I do want to tell you, this next game has a long and winding road. I'll see you next time.